Let me just preface this video by saying, I do not dislike Wuthering Waves as a game. I actually think it's a very good game. I've been a fan of it for quite a while. I just have stopped playing it since around about 2.2 for various reasons, but I still want to say it's a very good game and I have been a fan of it since day one. But this video might also upset some people because people can be a little bit hypersensitive around criticisms of this game. Now, I just want to say as well, all of my criticisms in this video are pretty much subjective criticisms. I'm not talking about objective systems and saying things are objectively bad in the game. It's more a subjective design critique overall. One, some visual stuff, and two, some more environmental world design. And it kind of bounces off a video that I spoke about prior, where I said I wasn't that impressed with the 3.0 teaser. Now, I think what they've shown now shows a lot more, and it looks a lot better than that initial teaser. I still believe that teaser that we saw for PlayStation wasn't a great teaser, and that was me critiquing the teaser and then just critiquing what we could see, and a lot of people didn't like that. And I just want to say, before you freak out and start going mental in the comments and going crazy on the dislikes and stuff, you can do that, but just at least see where I'm coming from first, and then, you know, refute what I'm saying, because it's totally subjective, so you might wholly disagree with me, okay? I'm not trying to make objective statements about the game here. But that being said, shall we get into what I'm talking about? Obviously, the 3.0 live stream happened today, and I did go through and watch, like, the majority of it on stream. And I want to say, there's lots of positives, right? I do like the look of the things they're adding to the combat. I think some of the new weapons, the standard weapons for the area, look really cool as well. I think a lot of the echoes look really cool. Visually, again, Wuthering Waves pretty much kill it all the design. Although I do have some issues with some design choices, but visually, the game looks gorgeous. The characters' animations look brilliant. Mornier, I think it is. I really like the look of her. I'm going to talk about one of the other characters that I'm not such a big fan of, which we'll get into in a second. I like the look of the new combat events. I think the driving is cool, but also I've got some issues that I want to talk about that as well. And they're like big parts of my criticisms because it goes into a lot of design stuff. The hologram stuff looks kind of cool. You know, they're adding a lot of things that I think are definitely positives for the new patch, right? They're doing different things as well, and I love to see that. They're trying different things, and I'm a big fan of that, okay? So, now we've got that out the way, right? I just want to, like, start going on to some of the stuff that I'm not maybe such a big fan of. But before we do that, so you know that I'm not wholeheartedly disliking this across the board. It's a few things that I've got issue with, and I think that quite big things for me, right? But before we do that, can we just have a look at this here? Like, we've got this, like, geographic video that they took from the live stream, right? And it's basically just showing off some of the environmental stuff. And this, it looks really nice, right? I love the colours. I love the design. The whole thing looks pretty nice. I'm a fan of it. This area looks gorgeous. This area, again, looks absolutely stunning. This looks beautiful. Like, we've got, like, these salt pools. Like, it looks really cool. I'm a big fan of this, right? Like, a lot of this looks really dope. I do really like this, like, orbital lift thing they've got in the game where you can drive up to the orbital station that's in space, which is really cool, actually. I really do like that. But that being said, I suppose let's get on to... And this as well, this almost looks like Phantasy Star Online, kind of. It gives me that vibes. The game gives me a few different vibes from different stuff. Some maybe not so positive. Well, not negative in a vacuum, but negative when you attach it to Wuthering Waves, and I'll explain that in a second. So I guess let me start with some of the visual elements here, right? This is not a negative design, okay? This looks fine. It looks good, but I don't think it looks like Wuthering Waves for me, okay? I've just got to say that. Now, you might disagree. This, to me, looks like something that... It looks like it's straight out of Tower of Fantasy. I've got to be honest. Now, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because I don't have the same visceral reaction a lot of people have to Tower of Fantasy, right? But this doesn't look like Wuthering Waves to me. It just doesn't seem to fit with the whole vibe that the game has, personally for me. Now, I know tonal changes happen. It's a live service game, but I just want to put that in. Like, this image, it just doesn't vibe with me as Wuthering Waves. This, like I say, looks like something straight out of Tower of Fantasy, all right? I just want to add that in there. So, again, this here looks okay, but again, for me, it just doesn't really look like Wuthering Waves, if you will, right? And this is like an outside version of the town here that we've just saw. Again, there's a lot of things that kind of give me like this Sonic kind of world vibe, which, again, looks fine, but doesn't look like Wuthering Waves to me, right? And again, you know, like, you look at stuff like this, they've added in a lot of stuff that, like, are cool, but at the same time kind of reduce some of the actual reason for having open world games. And for having open world games is to have a scope and scale that makes you want to explore them, right? And I believe we're seeing a lot of things being added into Wuthering Waves now that kind of reduces. Really cool. We've got a bike, right, that allows us to explore the world that we've got in the game. Really cool. The fact that everybody gets it, awesome. It's not locked behind characters. I love to see it, right? And the bike design itself actually looks kind of cool. And I like that you can customize it and all that sort of. It would be cool if they had in like not just livery customization, but like actual frame customization. That'd be really cool, right? But that's kind of where my positives around the bike end. Apart from, I will say, I was a little bit worried about the potential physics of the bike when you're riding around. That's my parrot in the background, if you can hear him. About the physics of the bike when you're riding around, right? And I was a little bit worried about them. I think those worries have been put to rest, because when the bike's driving around, it actually, not that big, it actually, where have we got it? We've got a little bit of footage here. I think it might have. Here we go. We can see a little bit here. It looks fine, right? The bike actually looks decent when it's riding around, and I kind of like it. It looks okay, and it looks cool here as well, right? And the radio, awesome. Love to see that. That's really cool. And you've got this first-person view and the cinematic view, and you can take your waifus on it. And we've got all the customization and stuff, right? But again, that's kind of where my positives for that end, because my issue with it, if I can just find, I need to go back now. I need to go back. Let me just quickly find this here a second, guys, because this is kind of like where I've got a bit of a critique with the actual bike itself. And let me just find it. Okay, this was the part I was looking for, right? This is where one of my major criticisms starts to come into with the bike system, right? And it's one of the things I was talking about when I was talking about exploration in a game like Enfield, and just exploration in general. In a game where it's open world or semi-open world or whatever, I want to be encouraged to explore. And I feel like when you're given tools that are based around momentum are good, because as the world gets bigger, it necessitates tools to make you get around the world faster, to make it feel less of a chore. But I think at the same time then, what you do is you make a world that gets bigger become smaller because of these momentum tools, and then it kind of makes some of the things that make exploring fun go away. It removes them. And I think what they're doing here is kind of like a perfect example of them not just doing that, but going a step forward and saying, we kind of get that you don't like doing that as well, so we're just going to remove it. Some people might like this, but for me, it just feels like the antithesis to the design of what I want to do in a game like this, right? And this is what we see here. Just check this out. You've got this with the bike, which I think looks goofy as hell as well. I've got to say, right? The bike riding around looks cool. This shit looks goofy. I don't care what anybody says. But it's this here that's the issue. So you can go into this view. I forgot what it's called now. They'll name it in a second. But you go into this view where it goes into a bullet time, and you can kind of look around, and you can see chests and pickups, right? And then they do that, and they go into the bullet time, and then they do this goofy shit here. That's so goofy. I'm sorry, it's so goofy. These barrel rolls and stuff with the bike just looks, they don't look good, man. I'm sorry. It might be fun, right? But it just doesn't look good. And then we automatically gather the items. So now, in this game that they're kind of removing a lot of the open world aspect through all these tools, they're removing the idea of actually the reason to explore in these games. It's not GTA. It doesn't give me hours of fun to just play in the sandbox, right? The environmental enjoyment, I guess, from games like this is going and getting all the little bits and pieces, and then probably doing a little bit of like fun stuff in the world. But that's kind of like the smaller part of it. The majority of it is, you know, oh, there's something over there, let me go get it. And that's what I said I really liked about Enfield, because of it being a bit more grounded and kind of like a PlayStation 2 action-adventure platformer. I like that. I don't like this, because I don't, like, what reason do I ever have have to go over here now, other than if like story dictates I go over there. I've got no reason to go to these places at all now, because the things that I needed to go over there for, I've just instantly picked up by using this skill. So it kind of like negates any reason for me to explore certain parts of the map. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm genuinely not a big fan of that as well. And another thing this adds as well, because you're able to do all of the things, ride around and grapple and barrel roll in the air on a motorbike, which I'm sorry just looks ridiculous for me personally for this game. I'm not saying those systems are bad, but in Wuthering Waves, it just doesn't feel like it fits to what the game originally was personally. And I get it, a lot of people say, dude, maybe this game's just not for you anymore, you're not the market. Fair enough. But it's a game I really like, so I'm going to like offer criticisms and my viewpoints now and again, especially when poignant things happen. 3.0 is pretty poignant, 2.0 was brilliant, and 3.0 is happening now, so it's a big deal. So I want to talk about it. But adding in the bike and adding in all these tool sets, look at the map design here. Now, there is areas, that's why I preface the video showing you off different areas of the map that look gorgeous. And I'm sure there's areas that are more designed for when you're on foot and a bit more of the cinematic aspect that's connected to the story and the set pieces and stuff, right? But like, look at this here. The map just looks weird to me. Like, there's lots of footage of it kind of looking like a Sonic world. It looks like I'm playing a Sonic game. You know, ooh, all of this is designed in such a way that I can ride the bike up these slopes, which sounds cool, but it just doesn't feel like an immersive action RPG to me. It looks like a stage that's designed around a gimmick, and that's cool, because that gimmick can be fun, but it takes away this idea that I'm in this interesting, evolving world that, like, is trying to immerse me. It's like, the game's like, well, we're in a world that's just funky and crazy, because, you know? And environments are just going to shift and change, not because it makes sense to the world, just because it makes sense to the new utility that's in the world. And I don't like that. I don't like that, personally. Now, does it mean it's going to be bad? No. It just means that you'll have vacuous spaces within the map that there's nothing to do because it's there for you to whip around in your motorbike, which you might have fun with. But overall, you end up going bigger and shallower, and then add in the fact that I can just literally suck up and hoover up all of these items through this tool on the bike. Now, I don't know how often you can do that or exactly how it works, but it seems like they're really reducing the need to go fetch things in this area. Now, that's probably going to be specific to this area, because we know Flight was Renacita, we know the bike's going to be this, who knows what we get next. But my worry is, which is not so much of a worry for me because I'm not playing the game anymore, but I want to come back to the game. My worry is that every time we go to a new area, there's a new utility because people crave this momentum-based movement, that the map is always going to be designed around that specific utility rather than just being a cool, interesting map. Now, is the parts of this that look cool and interesting? I think there is, right? Like, I must admit, it will be probably really fun to maybe have PvP races on the bike and stuff, right? And some of the tracks that look dope from a gameplay perspective of racing along on these roads that are going into the air and kind of chicaning and going on the side looks cool. But when you think about it in the sense of the world, it looks ridiculous, right? Like, why on earth would the world be built like that? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I suppose maybe I'm thinking about it a little too deep in that regard, right? But I can't help it. Like, if you're going to try and, you know, immerse me in this world, it kind of like loses a little bit in that regard when you start doing this stuff. Like don't get me wrong, visually this stuff look cool, and it's cool that like other people are driving around on the road as well. I really like that. Like, it makes the world feel alive, right? But as I say again, it just feels like this sort of stuff to me, like, it's just kind of goofy, man. Like, come on. Like, even if you like the look of this, right, and you think this looks cool, you got to admit it looks kind of goofy in this supposedly post-apocalyptic world based around a lament, and we're going to have highbrow storytelling in this game that people keep banging on about, and then we're grappling up, hooking, and barrel rolling a motorbike through fucking midair on, like, elevated roads because, yo, it looks cool, and it's like, look, let's do Mario Kart shit. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm, like, not a big fan of it. So, I guess there's my criticisms on how I think the world design is being affected negatively by these utilities. Let's, I guess, a positive thing here. Really positive about the tune break stuff and that, as I said earlier. I do like this building system where it looks like you're able to build out a road network. Really cool. I will say, though, it looks like most players are going to need blueprints, right? Because I know people struggle with that stuff. I'm just joking. These look cool as well, as I say. The echoes look really cool. They actually genuinely look dope. Mostly, I love the fact that they're going with this kind of like animal mechs, kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn. Looks dope. Some of them look really cool, right? But let me just move on to the characters. So let me just drop my character out for a split second, right? Because I just wanted to say again, Mornier, however you say her name, right? She looks great. I've got a soft spot for white-haired characters in Wuthering Waves and in gacha games in general. I thought she didn't look that great when I first saw her. She looks really cool, and her combat looks really cool. Both characters' animations look great. But the other girl, what's her name? Linnae. I'll go back to this game again that I mentioned earlier. It kind of looks like a character that could be in Tower of Fantasy or NTE. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it doesn't look visually better than those games in terms of the character design, right? Because it does. In-game, she looks a lot better than what you get in those games. But it just feels very NTE, very Tower of Fantasy to me. She does. She's not really anything special in terms of a visual design. Doesn't mean she's bad, right? Because I don't think she is. But then, like, you go on to Mornier, and man, she looks fucking cool. She looks really cool, man. Like, I think she's much better design-wise. She very much looks like a Kuro character. She looks like she's been teleported straight out of PGR, in my opinion. Like, she looks brilliant. I think there's a big positive there. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of I don't like this weapon either. I think it looks kind of meh. But she looks amazing. She looks amazing. She really does. She looks so good. But yeah, the other character, honestly, it could be an NTE character if you ask me. That's not necessarily a negative. I'm just not a massive fan of it. So I suppose this whole video is just me, once again, going back to this whole design philosophy question and point of view, right? This is all subjective. Everything I've said here is subjective, right? You might disagree with everything, and that's totally fine. And put it in the comments. Like, blast me if you want, because I know Wuthering Waves players do. Every time you criticize something, people go mental. But I think it's fair to criticize things. Do the areas look visually pleasing? Yes. Do I think they're designed well? Not personally, but that doesn't mean they're not designed well, right? They're designed well for the functionality, in my opinion. And the functionality is to facilitate this new utility, which is the bike, which it probably does it very well. But does that create an interesting, immersive, engaging world for me? Not really. I've got to say, not really. I wouldn't mind if there was like a particular few areas here and there dotted about that it was designed for, which it does look like you have got your areas are a little bit more self-contained for more the grounded, foot-based content. But I don't know, man. I'm not buying this aesthetic personally. I think I get it. We need tonal changes through the game, but I want to feel like I'm still existing in the same world. I don't feel like this game exists in the same world anymore. It just doesn't feel like it's connected to any of the original stuff. I feel like we've gone so far away. The only thing that's connecting it is Rover and Rover's journey. The world feels like we're literally on a different planet. That's kind of what it feels like to me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just think from a design point of view for myself, I'm not a massive fan of it. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about this because, as I say, it's my opinion. I really like the game. I was a big fan of Wuthering Waves. I've stopped playing it. I'm not going to be one of those creators like how some people do with Genshin. They stop playing Genshin, but they're constantly, nearly every day, making a video shitting on Genshin and trying to tell you that you should understand it's a bad game. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to explain to you that Wuthering Waves is a bad game, right? I'm not. I think it's a good game. I'm just trying to express my opinion in how I feel like the game shifted into a place that I don't think really fits Wuthering Waves. And I think this is a perfect patch to show it for me. Like, when I first saw that bike barrel rolling, I couldn't help but laugh because I was like, bro, this looks goofy as fuck. This looks goofy. But I'd love to know what you think down below, guys. Are you excited for 3.0? You probably are. I don't think it's quite done enough to get me back just yet, but I'll wait for it to drop. And if some of the combat stuff looks really cool, maybe I will. Because I do like that they're layering stuff on top of the combat. I'm here for that. The world and the patch itself, I'm not like, man, I've got to explore La Hoi Rai or whatever it's called, or I forgot what it's called now. It's not giving me that desire, right? But maybe the gameplay will. Hey, maybe I'll come back and be like, you know what? I was totally wrong about the whole bike system. But personally, I don't think I'm going to feel like that because, yeah, I think I don't want to be playing my open world anime RPG like that. I want to explore the world. I want the world to feel cool to explore. And if that means areas being a bit smaller and denser, give me that. I don't want everything to expand to fit new utility systems because it looks cool, right? And I'll get around faster, and you can have this sense of fulfillment to be like, well, at least I can get around quicker than I can in Genshin. That's all good, right? Or I think to a degree you get to a level where it's like, man, is there any worth exploring this map that they've created now? Or is it just pretty window dressing and I'll just mac from point A to point B and back again? Literally now I don't even need to pick stuff up. I can just hoover it up. I don't know. But anyway, I've rabbited on long enough now. Again, as I say, I'm sure 3.0 will be really good. Wua and Kuro have done an amazing job with the game. I just think the vision shifted to a point that I don't think reflects the game anymore. And I think it's getting worse in that aspect personally. But guys, I'd love to know what you think down below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you've hated it, give it a dislike and roast me in the comments. I don't mind. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Ta-ra.